Thinking of how to write your SIWES report, and you can look at the entire process. It looks very tedious, right? Or maybe you are even thinking, where will I start from? Don't worry, you are in the right channel. Here is top 5 tips on how to write your SIWES report. Number 1, begin with the end in mind. So what are you looking to achieve with your SIWES, right? After the entire learning experience, after the entire exercise, what do you want to achieve academically? So is it that you want to get an A grade? Is it that you want to get a B, a C, or do you want to fail your SIWES? SIWES report contributes a huge chunk in your entire whole grade of SIWES. So what's your target? Let me know in the comment section. During my time, I aim A grade, and that was what I got after writing a holistic and a good SIWES report. So for you, what do you want to get at the end of it? At the end of the SIWES, begin with the end in mind. Number 2, begin early to avoid rushing. So this is very important, right? Because you don't want to start rushing in 9 minutes, and that leads to you just submitting a substandard SIWES report. You want to start early so that you avoid rushing and you ensure that, yes, you don't stress yourself out, because SIWES reports can be a tedious thing to do, considering the fact that you have a lot of chapters. But if you start early, that helps you to stretch out all your activities, and it is very simple and very easy, and you won't find yourself struggling with writing your SIWES report. So begin early to avoid rushing. So if you had the 9 minutes of submitting your SIWES report, no worries at all. There are still some tips I'm going to share on how you can actually achieve a standard report within a few times. So keep watching. Number 3, plan your SIWES report. A favorite quote, right? If you fail to plan, definitely you are planning to fail. So it is very important that you plan how to write your SIWES report. And I want you to pay a close attention on some of these steps, because I'll be explaining the entire whole process of SIWES now. So in the entire whole chapters of SIWES, we have about 5 to 6 chapters, including the preliminary pages. So the preliminary pages is one of the things you do last, although it is the first page of your SIWES, right? So basically there you have your abstract, you have your dedication, and some other few things. So you want to leave it at the last, because some of those things that you are going to write is dependent on your entire whole SIWES. So you want to leave that for last. After the preliminary pages is the first chapter. The first chapter is strictly about SIWES, the aims and objectives of SIWES, introduction, history of SIWES, right? And this is what you can easily get online, so it's not something that difficult. So just talking about the history of SIWES, introduction, the aims and objectives, and some few other things. So that is what chapter 1 is all about. Chapter 2 is about the organization you did your SIWES. So what company do you do your SIWES? What are their activities? What are their aims? What are their goals? What are their vision? What are their mission? What are the divisions that they have in the organization? Definitely you have to get their organogram, you explain some departments, and you explain the department you work as well. So basically explaining the organization, what they are into, what category, what industry they are in. So you explain, you talk more about the company, and you explain what they are into. So chapter 2 is very easy. It's something that you can get from the company website. If your company have a website, you can ask them. Definitely you should know whether your company have a website or not. So if your company have a website, you can get all this information on their website, or you can ask your supervisor to share some information about the organization. But I'm definitely sure you should know more about the organization, since you spend the duration of 3 or 6 months interning with them. Yeah. So chapter 2 is about the organization. So on to chapter 3. Chapter 3 is very important, and I want you to pay a close attention. This is the most difficult part of SIWES, and it is very unique. It is unique to everybody. So as a supervisor, or as someone marking your SIWES report, this is where I will know whether you copy someone or not, because your experience is unique. So chapter 3 is all about your experience, your activities, the things you did when you were doing your SIWES. So basically, what are the activities that you did? What are the tasks you accomplished? What are the projects you did? So during my time, I did my SIWES in a software company, and basically I participated in building websites, participated in building some backend and structure, so mobile application. I also participated in an online / branding activities. So basically talking about your experience, no matter how small it is, write it there. Maybe you participated in, you contributed in a project, you made some research, anything you did at all, just jot it down. Chapter 3 is about your experience as a person, what you achieved during your SIWES and that particular organization. And this might be very hard, right? So one tips I will give you to use here is that list out the activities you did. For example, you built a website, or you did this, you did a project, you performed a research, and after listing them down, you need to explain each of how you accomplish each of these tasks. For example, I built a website, so first I will need to explain that, okay, I got a domain, I wrote the code, I did this, I did that, and after, at the end of the day, I published it. So you need to explain the entire whole process you followed to achieve that particular task. Let's say you conduct a research, so you need to explain the entire, what the research is about, what you gained, the end result. So all those things you need to explain it. Chapter 3 is all about your experience as a person, and you need to explain it as much as you can. So this is one of the most important aspects of your SIWES, because it says a lot about you. I think this is one of the things that you might want to do at the beginning. During my time, this was the first thing I did, which is chapter 3, explaining your experience as a person doing the SIWES. So moving to chapter 4. Chapter 4 is the problems you encounter during your SIWES report. So this is the place you list out some of your challenges, the problems you encounter. Maybe, for example, you were unable to get a company to do your SIWES early. That's a problem that you need to talk about. Maybe the place you are doing your SIWES is far from your house, and you need to pay for transportation. It was any problem you have at all, you need to explain it. Maybe the company you did your SIWES, they were not friendly. Whatever problem you have at all, this is the section for you to pour your mind, say your mind. Nobody's going to reduce your mark because you listed out your problems. So feel free to list out the problem you face during your SIWES. So chapter 5 is also easy and straight up. So basically, chapter 5 contains recommendation, conclusion, and references. So the problem you listed in chapter 4, here is the chapter where you explain or you give recommendations. Here is the chapter where you give recommendations to those problems. Maybe SIWES should help you in linking you up with a company, or anything at all you think might be a solution to those problems you listed in chapter 4. Here is the place you need to explain it in terms of recommendation, giving SIWES recommendation. So one of the recommendations you might give them is maybe SIWES can help in giving students stipend for participating in SIWES. And I think they even do that, but some people get and some people don't. And one of the unlucky one that didn't actually get the SIWES money, and they actually dropped the money late, right? So you think it's off. Sometimes it's of no use. So you might want to give recommendation. Just give your recommendations, what you think SIWES can do better, and some of the challenges you face, how you think those things can be solved. Yeah. So after that, you do conclusion. Conclusion is the entire summary of your SIWES. You give a conclusion and also references in case maybe you visited a website to get some information, maybe introduction of SIWES, in-term objective. You want to give reference to all those platforms you visited, or maybe there are some books or somebody SIWES. Whatever thing you did, you need to give references to any information you get from somewhere. So references, conclusion, and recommendation. So that's all about chapter 5, and that's how you plan your SIWES report. Number 4. Split the task of writing your SIWES report. So after the entire planning, you want to split out the task of writing your SIWES report. You don't want to write your SIWES report in a whole full day. It's kind of like stressful and tedious. You want to have fun doing this, right? It shouldn't be difficult after all. So you might want to split out your writing of your SIWES report. Maybe you say, okay, today I'm going to write introduction, tomorrow I'm going to write chapter 3, next tomorrow I'm going to write chapter 4. So you want to split out the tasks. You want to break it into chunks. After planning, you want to take each of those things and write about them at your own convenience. So split out your SIWES report, and that was why I said you should start early, right? Start early so that you avoid rushing. If the deadline is close, what can you do? So this is up to you, right? Depending on the amount of time you have, you can look at it and split the tasks. Maybe if you have one day, you might want to split it up, but ensure to take a break, because you are not robots, right? We are not robots. So ensure to take a break and come back and continue whatever thing you are doing. So whatever time range you have, right, just look at how you can split the tasks, and also have some little break in between so that you can have fun doing this as well. Last but not least, number 5, review other SIWES reports. So this is very important, most especially if the deadline is very close. Your deadline of submitting your SIWES report is very close. You want to learn from experience, you want to see what other people have done. So try as much as possible. You can check a lot of websites, just visit, type how to write a SIWES report, or you can search SIWES report sample. You get to see a lot of samples, different variety of samples that you can actually see how they've done it, and there are some few things that you can try to get from there. So you want to review other samples so that to make your work more easier. Just ensure that yes, your chapter 3 is well written, but ensure that you put a lot of effort in chapter 3, because that's where you have to explain all your experience as a person. So visit any platform. You can visit our platform www.smartbuildguide.com. I'll put a link in the description. There we have a lot of templates that you can actually look at, you can review, and based on that you can get 1 or 2 tips, or you can get some few informations of which are of A grade. A lot of samples written by students, and those samples are excellent and they are well written and well edited. You can review them, and based on that you can try to craft out your own excellent SIWES reports. I'll drop the link in the description. Just visit it. I think we just have some little premium fee that you need to pay to get the SIWES reports, and that's it, guys. That's how to write a very good and holistic SIWES report. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you do, please give this a thumbs up, and don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel. I'll see you next time.